Time to check some YouTube comments. You are the only way for Russia to gain access to the Atlantic? I don't really care about your TikTok issues right now. Damn, does Denmark have a Russia problem? Well, today we're going to talk about Denmark's Russia problem, and it has to do with a Danish island in the middle of the Baltic Sea that has a troubled Russian past, as well as a 76-year-old letter that Vladimir Putin thinks he can use today to control what Denmark does with its own military. Let's get into it. Now, I don't need to tell you that the world changed on February 24th, 2022. That's the date where Vladimir Putin ordered Russian troops to invade Ukraine. Suddenly, Europe's post-World War peace was shattered, and in the aftermath of that invasion, we now see countries like Finland and Sweden moving closer to formal membership in NATO. Denmark is a founding member of that military alliance, but Denmark has a unique Russian problem of its own. For years now, Putin has challenged the airspace around Denmark in both Nordic and Baltic countries. Most significantly, though, the Russian military staged a simulated invasion of the Danish island of Bornholm. I'm in front of Christiansborg Palace on Slotsholmen in Copenhagen. This is one of the most important buildings in Denmark and possibly all of Scandinavia because it's actually the seat of the Danish government. The Danish Supreme Court, the Prime Minister's office, and the Danish Parliament all meet here when the government is in session, except for 4 days each summer where they actually move to the island of Bornholm for something called the People's Meeting or the Folkemøde. The People's Meeting is a chance for Danes to meet their politicians and engage in political debate of the main issues of the day. But the really insane thing is that this is when Vladimir Putin decided to order a simulated invasion of the island of Bornholm. So think about it. The entire Danish government, as well as the Danish media apparatus, are on the island of Bornholm for these 4 days every summer. And in 2014, that's when Putin decided to stage a simulated invasion of the island. Imagine what would happen if the island was actually invaded during this period. It would decapitate the entire country to lose the government and the media in one foul swoop. But that's the message that Putin decided to send. So why does Bornholm live rent-free in Putin's paranoid mind? Let's find out more. I'm sitting here on Amastrand, and in front of me are the Danish Straits. This is one of the most important and strategic waterways in Europe, as it links the North Atlantic with the Baltic Sea. This is why these waterways have been such an important part of Denmark's history, economy, and foreign affairs. If you go about 150 kilometers southeast of here, or 100 miles, you'll find the Danish island of Bornholm. It's always been a Danish naval base, and a very important one, as it sits in the Baltic Sea, surrounded by Germany, Sweden, and Russia. Bornholm is a large part of the reason why Denmark has been able to control these strategic waterways throughout history, and why in the buildup of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Denmark moved F-16 fighter jets to the island of Bornholm. Now, another thing worth noting is that residents of Bornholm have a checkered past with Russia. That's because the Soviet Union occupied the island after the German surrender of World War II. Now, the rest of Denmark was liberated by the British on May 5th of 1945, but fighting continued in Bornholm. It was not liberated until the 9th of May, and it was liberated by the USSR, who subsequently occupied the island until April 5th of 1946, almost a year later. Now that you've had a brief Danish history lesson, the Russia problem for Denmark will probably make a little bit more sense. See, it all began during that post-war period of Bornholm's Soviet occupation. As the withdrawal of Soviet troops was planned for, diplomatic correspondence between Denmark and the USSR took place. The future of Bornholm as a part of Denmark was discussed, and plans were made for reincorporation of Bornholm into the Kingdom of Denmark. This framework was decided upon through a series of letters and correspondences that took place between diplomats of both Denmark and the USSR. Which makes sense. That's how it would be done. But that's also where things get a little bit tricky with modern-day Russia. Now, weeks before the Russians decided to invade Ukraine in 2022, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen announced a new defensive agreement with the United States. Part of this agreement could lead to American troops being stationed on Bornholm. You can probably guess what happened next. Somebody as paranoid as Vladimir Putin voiced a lot of concern about the potential for foreign troops being stationed in the Baltic Sea, especially on Denmark's most easterly island of Bornholm. What you may not expect, though, is that Russia is using those same letters and correspondences from 76 years ago to claim that NATO troops should not be stationed on the Danish island of Bornholm. Now, Russia maintains that one specific note, an official correspondence between Yaroslav Molotov, the Soviet Union's foreign minister at the time, and a Danish diplomat by the name of Thomas Døsing, proves that Denmark agreed to never allow foreign troops onto the island of Bornholm. Vladimir Putin, the current Russian ambassador to Denmark, warned Denmark to not allow US troops onto Bornholm in a tweet that he released 8 days before the invasion of Ukraine. In it, he tweeted,
1946. Notes from Denmark and Russia sides on the issue of non-deployment of foreign troops on Bornholm. The exchange of these documents constitutes an agreement. Duration is not specified. In accordance with international law, this means the agreement is open-ended and remains in force.
Now, I'm sure the hypocrisy isn't lost on you either, so I won't point it out, but this does create a Russia problem for Denmark. Now, military and foreign relations experts have weighed in, and they point out that the notes were never an official treaty. Not that Russia pays attention to those anyway, but it also wasn't a condition of Soviet withdrawal. Furthermore, the letter doesn't explicitly say that US troops are never allowed to be on Bornholm. It's also worth pointing out the context of the letters. Now, you may already realize that this was a period in 1946 where NATO didn't even exist, and it wasn't even being planned. Europe was divided, but Denmark's post-war intentions were to return to a position of neutrality. Vladimir Putin has warned Denmark against letting US troops onto Bornholm, stating,
If Denmark permits such a move, if foreign troops are allowed on Bornholm, Russia will be forced to consider the implications it will have on the relationship between Russia and Denmark.
Denmark's foreign minister, Jeppe Kofod, has reaffirmed that it is Denmark that decides what happens in Denmark, not Russia. Let us know your thoughts below, and let's maybe pivot to a lighter and happier subject, like why are Danes so happy anyway? And are they actually happy? We examine this in this video here on the psychology behind the topic of happiness. Thanks for watching, and hi hi!